So how do you actually do it? How do you find a partner that will commit to you? And how do you find your soulmate? This video is for you if you've ever stuck in a relationship that was toxic for you. Isn't it so exhausting? So exhausting to feel like the world is against you. So exhausting to feel disappointed over and over again. That why does this keep happening to you? That you sacrifice your entire world for someone who doesn't even give a shit about you. Have you ever scrolled online and seen couples are just so in love, so crazy for each other, and you're very, very happy for them, but you're also really sad for yourself? Sad that you're single and alone. You start to wonder and ask questions like, what the heck is wrong with me? I've been single since birth and I just want to find my person because I just have so much love to give. So you decide to put yourself out there, you get your phone, you download all the dating apps, and then start swiping away. You have funny conversations with this guy named Chad and you decide to meet him in person. You had so much fun that you FaceTime all of your girlfriends telling them that Chad is such an amazing guy and they seem very happy for you. So you go on date number 2 and you're starting to really like this person because you had another great time. You feel butterflies in your stomach when you think about Chad. It's a mixture of excitement and nervousness. But weeks pass by and you haven't heard from him. Then bam! You get a text from Chad saying, I think we should just be friends. You're hit with reality and stuck with another Chad that wants you in another situationship. And worse, you have this gut-wrenching feeling that he's also talking to other girls. This video is for you if you've ever stuck in a relationship that was toxic for you. You get stuck in situationships but can't get a guy to commit to you, or he doesn't seem to respect you. You do everything for him and you just want to find that person that will put the same effort back. So how do you actually do it? How do you find a partner that will commit to you? And how do you find your soulmate? Well, buckle up, sisters, because we have a lot to talk about today. Today, we're going to chat about how to get into a healthy, fulfilling relationship and get him to bend that knee. Hey, it's Drae, and on this channel, we are all about becoming better human beings. Our goal here is to create a world where you feel heard, supported, and empowered to become your best self, one human being at a time. If that resonates with you, consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Let's get back to it. Today, I'm going to put you on to 6 lessons that would reshift your energy so you can start attracting a healthy relationship because you truly deserve that. This isn't some black magic juju that we create a love potion for someone to drink or we summon your ideal partner. Although that would be cool. These are 6 important shifts that you can start today to start acting like a high value woman and attract that partner that will commit his time and effort to you. Before we get into that, I did want to share some tea. This is the backstory on how I even figured this all out. I was a little toxic. Okay, JK, maybe kind of toxic. A couple of years ago in my college days, I was not in the right headspace. I had very low self-esteem and I threw a huge pity party for myself every day. I struggled with a lot of negative self-talk and I struggled with being too nice. There is a huge difference between being kind and being nice. Being nice focuses on politeness and being agreeable to others. Basically, you're putting other people's needs before your own. Have you ever been in a situation where someone says their opinion and you kind of disagree, but you say nothing, so you just let out a nervous laugh? Well, yeah, you're being too nice. Being nice is simply giving too much to other people at the expense of yourself. If you think about energy, let's say you have 100. You take that 100 and you give it to everyone, leaving nothing to fill your own tank. You prioritize other people first, and this is why you feel depleted and drained. Being kind, on the other hand, involves genuine care for someone and a focus on being helpful. This involves saying your opinion and expressing yourself, even at the cost of some disagreement. Well, anyways, I was too nice. I allowed people to speak to me a certain way, step on my boundaries, because I feared conflict more than actually backing myself. I wanted to be that girl that everyone liked. And so in social settings, I would be very passive. I wouldn't say my own opinions. I would just listen more than I talked because I was scared that people wouldn't like me. And so this welcomed a lot of bad people and a lot of bad men into my life. I got cheated on, I was stuck in a toxic relationship, and worst of all, I let a guy determine my self-worth, and I accepted this shitty behavior 24/7 because I thought I was being a nice person. I didn't realize that niceness is actually the opposite of good. It comes from a place of low self-esteem and accepting whatever situation is there because you don't know what your worth is. And that was precisely what I felt. I just didn't feel like I deserved anything good, and I would just accept whatever comes my way. That I had to overcompensate my own energy and keep giving even if I was depleted because I was scared that people would leave me if I didn't do that. You want to know something? Deep down, I knew what my worth was and I knew what I freaking deserved. But it felt like I was my own enemy and I just didn't let myself have that. I functioned from a place of self-loathing and self-hating for the longest time, so it didn't allow myself to fully embrace the partner that I deserved. And maybe this is you too, but isn't it so exhausting to feel like the world is against you, so exhausting to feel disappointed over and over again. That why does this keep happening to you? That you sacrifice your entire world for someone who doesn't even give a shit about you. My heart broke again and again. It really messed me up, and I was starting to think maybe I'm the problem. And for the longest time, I was stuck in this. I was stuck with guys who cheated on me, who didn't value me, who weren't really serious about me, until 4 years ago when I finally met someone who did. Within 8 days, we were official, and within 2 years, we were married. And so today, I really felt compelled to create this video, and I poured my heart and soul into making this so that you can learn these 6 massive shifts that help me break out of that cycle and finally manifest that partner of my dreams. And of course, how you can too. Point number 1, understand your insecurities and how you're projecting them. The craziest thing is the more worried you are about someone cheating on you, the more likely it's going to happen. Let me explain. There's a concept called self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's when your belief of something causes that thing to actually happen. It starts with an initial belief, and then this belief influences how you interact with people, causing what you fear the most to happen. Because it happened, it strengthens your belief, and now you're stuck in this cycle. Let's break that down. Let's say your belief is that all men are cheaters. If you function from this belief, how do you act? You're gonna have trust issues. And how does someone act when they have trust issues? Well, they're controlling, they question their partner's every move, they even affirm that behavior saying, oh, are you gonna cheat on me? Eventually, the other party is gonna feel choked out. So your behavior changes. You start to withdraw from him because you don't trust him. And now his basic needs are not met, and then he seeks that validation from elsewhere, and then bam, he cheats on you. This then becomes the confirmation that you needed, that you were right all along, that all men are cheaters. And so your belief in that gets stronger. Crazy, huh? I'm not saying that you're going to be blindly trusting every single guy out there, but I just want you to be self-aware enough to understand how your beliefs that you're feeding in your brain is actually affecting your relationship. Try your best not to bring in your baggage from the past relationship into your new one, or at least be self-aware if you're doing that and communicate that properly. We're not perfect and we all have something that we're working on, but this is huge in terms of creating a successful relationship. And I understand it's not going to be easy, especially if you've had guy after guy really break your heart. I remember my trust levels were really low after I ended things with my ex, and it was really hard because I definitely had baggage from the last relationship while I was figuring things out with my current partner. But being self-aware enough and understanding that the guy you're currently dating or seeing is not the same as that person that you dated is a game changer. It's a fresh, clean slate, and they should be innocent until proven guilty and not the opposite, because that's not fair to them. Trust me, it becomes very exhausting for the other party to constantly try to prove themselves to you if they haven't even done anything bad to you. Your actions should be based on how they're treating you now and not how you were treated in the past. If not, then you're giving power to your ex because you're allowing him to affect your current relationship. And worse, you risk ruining something that might actually be good for you. One thing I remember doing that I think you'd find helpful is I focus on what they did best and affirm that identity instead of focusing on what they lacked. I see a lot of women criticize their partners so easily, saying like, oh my god, you're a piece of shit, you're a liar, you're a cheater. Anyways, comments that magnify their negative traits. I try to focus on what to affirm in them. If they take their time to listen to me, then I affirm that behavior. I say, I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to my needs. Thank you. Or you're such a great listener. I appreciate that. It's like I'm reading an affirmation to them. And of course, that's going to fill them with pride and a lot of these positive emotions that are associated with that. And I personally think this approach is way better than focusing on what they lack. You want to bring him peace. You want him to associate you with good vibes, good laughs, good time, and not make their life difficult. If you are the reason why he's stressed all the time, that you display a lot of chaotic energy, then don't be surprised that he's not putting all his eggs in your basket. There's something I saw a couple years ago that I think is so applicable here. People will forget what you do and say, but people will never forget how you make them feel. The more nonchalant and cool you are, instead of controlling, the more enticing you become. People need space, and if you give them space, you exude that calm confidence, and they'll just naturally want to hang out with you. Be patient, let them miss you, don't initiate everything, don't drop everything for this person, be chill. Exude calm confidence. Being confident doesn't mean that you're the loudest person in the room or you're the person who dresses the best. Actually, the most confident people, they don't even have to say I'm confident, because they don't feel the need to prove anything to anyone, and they don't feel the need to justify what they're doing. They simply just do what they want to do. They set really good boundaries, and they're also very secure in themselves. My favorite concept of all time is that humans are simple. They run away from pain and run towards pleasure. You want him to be naturally drawn to you, so stop stop creating a painful experience for him, or at least be mindful if you are. And of course, vice versa. Point number 2, are you being realistic in the relationship? One thing I really struggled with is matching what was in my head to actual reality. I daydreamed of a knight in shining armor that would save me from a tower, that would save me from a dragon, and I would imagine that this guy has blue eyes, tall, charismatic, a hero, and basically treated me like a princess. And of course, nothing wrong with someone treating you like a princess, but let's get back to earth for a sec. We gotta be realistic. If you're trying to manifest someone that has all of these traits, then best believe that this person is also manifesting someone who has those traits. I believe more in realistic manifesting. I know we're trying to attract your ideal partner, but are you the high value woman that they're also looking for? Get a piece of paper, list down all of the traits of your ideal man. Now this is your high value man, and now we have to be realistic. What are the traits that this ideal person is probably looking for in a partner? And do you have that? I know this is more tough love, but a relationship is a partnership. It's a give and take situation. It takes two to make a relationship work, and a high value man wants to connect with a high value woman. Good news though, now you have a list of things to work on every single day to attract the man of your dreams. Instead of laying out all the things that you expect from someone, I truly believe in practicing what you preach. You will naturally attract someone who has the same perspective of you, and that's how you can attract a high value man, someone that you've always dreamt of. Okay, real talk. Are you in love with him, or are you in love with the idea of him? I have talked to so many of my girlfriends, and they stay with their partner because they can fix him, so they see the relationship for what could be than what it actually is. They only love the idea of this person, but not really who he is. And it's very different when you're trying to be positive about every single situation than just being ignorant with what's really happening. Who is he now? How are they treating you? Be honest and realistic with yourself. You have to make sure that you're putting effort into someone that puts the same effort back, not because they might do it someday, because you're just going to end up sucking from your own tank and putting into someone that doesn't even give a shit about you, and you're just gonna get very exhausted from that relationship and feel very, very unfulfilled. Okay, there's two concepts we're gonna talk about, and one is attraction and the other one is effort. Essentially, the more attraction you have for someone, the more effort you put in to see if it could be a long-term relationship. What happens is that when people feel that attraction, they crank up the effort way too fast. If you do that, you're gonna obsessively text them, you're gonna drop everything for them, and you're just gonna put 100% of yourself to them without even understanding how this person feels about you. It puts too much pressure in the situation, and this is why they say, oh my gosh, I think we're moving too fast. Or it forces the other person to match your energy when they're not really ready yet. And if they're not on the same page, not willing to put in the effort the same way that you are, then they start to lose attraction. It has to be a balancing act, like a seesaw. He gives, you give, you take, he takes, and you have to get him to invest in a relationship willingly. There's an innate thing that a lot of people value, and it's related to a concept called sunk costs. Sunk costs suggest that once you've invested time, effort, or resources into something, you're more likely to continue investing to avoid the feeling of having wasted those previous efforts. The more invested someone is in a relationship, the higher likelihood that they will commit to you. But that is not going to happen if you're putting too much pressure in the beginning stages. Okay, which one will you value more? A Birkin bag that was given to you, or a Birkin bag that you actually worked hard for? Well, it's going to be the Birkin bag that you worked hard for. Why? Because you understand how much time, work, and dedication you had to put in to actually purchase this bag. And this concept applies to relationships as well. If you get him to invest his time, energy, and effort with you, then you're already a step up from just that physical attraction. Protect yourself. Focus on only giving as much as he's giving, because men like challenges. But of course, before we can say that he's the one, we need to sniff out the BS, and we have to set healthy boundaries. Point number 3. Know your boundaries and stick to them. A woman that knows what she wants, sets clear boundaries, and knows what her deal breakers are, screams sexy. But for real, people test your limits. They'll do something small and see how you react to that. For example, if someone lies and you don't even address it and you forgive so easily, it's likely they're going to lie again. If they cheat on you, you forgive that and you take them back, it's very likely they're going to do it again. The fear of losing you should be greater than the fear of them missing out with anyone else. And if that's not the case, leave. I have seen it time and time again. If they cheat on you, it's either an internal problem they have to figure out, or there's something lacking in the relationship. If these problems don't get nipped in the butt, then they're going to happen over and over again. Remember that someone who sees your value only if you're about to walk out didn't see your value at all, because they wouldn't even let it get to that point. You have a toxic relationship because you have a toxic relationship with yourself. I talk a lot about self-love on this channel, but it's so true. How you're functioning, whether it's from a self-love or a self-hate standpoint, really affects everything in your life. Your health, your finances, your relationships, because self-love is equal to respecting yourself. And when you respect yourself, you set healthy boundaries. So how do you actually set clear boundaries without offending someone? The common misconception is we think that setting boundaries is about telling someone what not to do or what to do. We think that it's about controlling someone, which we don't have control over. For example, you tell your partner, you can't treat me that way. And of course they can treat you that way. That is outside your control. They can speak to you however they want and they can do whatever to you, and you have no control over that. This statement also does nothing for us because it doesn't communicate how it makes us feel and the consequences of that behavior. They can't understand why they should care and why they should stop doing what you're saying. So setting boundaries isn't about telling someone what to do, you can't treat me that way. It's about what you do in response to someone's action. Now this is in your realm of control. The key is to focus on the consequences that this person's behavior causes instead of the actual person. This will avoid them from feeling attacked or criticized. Here's the format: behavior, feeling, consequence. Instead of saying stop interrupting me, say something like, when you interrupt me, behavior, I feel frustrated, feeling, because I lose my train of thought. Consequence. Now there's a clear explanation of why he should stop interrupting you, because there's a clear consequence to that. This prevents this from happening again next time, and it also helps you learn one another better. Another thing when it comes to boundaries is just laying out what you expect from the relationship from the get-go. I talked to a girlfriend of mine and she's been dating the same guy for over 5 years, but he's taking his time to propose and she just really wants to start a family. She wants to get married. Well, tell him that. Tell him what your expectations are in a relationship and that you're not just someone that will throw that away. If your goal is to have a family someday and you are working on a timeline for that, then communicate that. And if it's something that is important to him, that he will listen. Have a real honest chat. Hey, I really want to start a family. Are you on the same page? Because if not, then we really need to figure out whether this relationship is the right move for us. This type of energy, it's giving confidence because you know what you want, you're out here to get it, and you're not going to let anyone waste your time. Point number 4, focus on proper communication and stop getting offended over everything. I used to always feel attacked when my partner would tell me that I did something wrong or I could do something a little bit better. I would be so defensive over anything. And then my mind would spiral and say like, why am I never good enough? Why do I always make mistakes? I'm so worthless. Stop taking everything personally. Imagine yourself as a sphere. You put that sphere into a box and you put that box deep, deep down into yourself, in your soul, that no one can ever influence. This is your self-worth. You can't have other people questioning you and then you question your self-worth. Remember that communication is necessary and it's necessary to have a very healthy relationship. Your partner needs to feel comfortable enough to share his feelings with you. And if you continue to react violently or overreact over every single thing, then he's going to learn to just keep it to himself. Remember that constructive feedback is about your behavior. It has nothing to do with who you are as a person or your self-worth. We need to have that distinction because we're creating a safe space not only for you, but also for your partner to share his true feelings with you. So making sure that we're also leaving that space for your partner to do that is very important in a secure relationship. If you don't create that space, resentment starts to brew and it could affect a lot in your relationship. Eventually, when they're upset about something, they're just going to say, don't worry about it, and shove things off. And you'll see that this is actually eventually going to come up, whether he shouts at you in a misplaced emotion and you just don't know what's happening because things weren't communicated properly. A misconception that people have is that conflict is unhealthy. Conflict is actually very necessary and normal in a relationship. You take two different people, two upbringings with two different experiences, you're going to disagree with one or two things at least. So it's good to actually talk about these differences, and only becomes unhealthy when you prioritize winning over actually understanding the other person. And of course, learning about someone really takes time, and having a healthy conflict resolution really makes a difference. You get to learn what's important to that person, what their boundaries are, what makes them sad, angry, and all of that stuff. That way, when you have a disagreement, you can understand how to actually go about it next time. I remember when we would have deep talks in the past, I would just get offended and emotional over every single thing. And I realized I didn't handle criticism well because I needed him to tell me that I'm great at something to feel secure, because I didn't feel like I was secure without that. And if you have an overly emotional, reactive brain like mine, then logic it out. I trained my logic brain to, of course, not only look at my needs, but also his needs and our needs together. And once I put that self-worth deep inside me, I started to take things less personally. Remember that the respect that you have for one another is way more important than being right or wrong. Because I would rather lose the battle, but win the war. If it's all about one-upping each other, oh, you did this, oh, you did that, then you're not fostering a space for growth. You're basically saying that one-upping each other and being right is way more important than taking the time to understand that person. Listen more than you speak. I realized that I was dominating a lot of the conversations that we had in the past. And I think of people as energies. If you put them in a room, they have to adjust to fit inside that room. Whether one person takes up most of the space and the other one shrinks, or if that other person doesn't feel heard, they leave. But in any case, they have to fit inside that room. If you're like me and you're hyper emotional, you're very reactive, then you take the space of almost the entire room. So what does your partner does? He makes himself really, really small to make space for your emotions. I realized that I was focusing more on me, and I wasn't fostering a growth for my own partner, and I wasn't creating a safe space for him to actually understand his emotions and communicate that to me. It's when I practiced a lot of self-awareness that I understood that maybe I need to pull it back a little bit. And when I did that, I started to see his real emotions. He was starting to process everything. He was communicating very well, and I started to learn more about him. At the end of the day, his real thoughts came out because he understood that I could just take it, and I'm not gonna take it personally, because the last thing he wants to do is hurt me, and if I can't take criticism well, then he'd rather just not say it. But that's not a healthy relationship. So as I brought my logical brain out, kept my self-worth hidden, that's when I really pulled back my energy. And using that room analogy again, that's when I started seeing him kind of increase his energy in the room. And that's how you can bring him peace, be a safe space for him, and have a deeper connection with him than just physical attraction. Point number 5, you choose to become soulmates. Soulmates are not found, they're actually made. You don't just find them on the street. It takes time, effort, and dedication over time. It's a choice to continue to love that person every single day, to be excited with what they're learning, and make them feel loved and supported. You choose to be engaged in their life, their interests, their stories, and be excited when they're excited about their passions. This creates a much deeper bond and connection with you guys than just a regular fling. Here are some key things to look out for if your current status has the potential of becoming soulmate status. You both understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, you love unconditionally, the relationship is built on trust and respect, and you can be your authentic self without fear of being judged. When you feel so comfortable and safe, and you feel like you're just home, then you've found your person. There's a popular saying that opposites attract, or a lot of people look for partners that are 100% like them. But I actually think personality traits and interests, they actually have nothing to do with a successful relationship. My partner and I are the exact opposite. We took a lot of personality tests. I'm an extrovert, he's an introvert. He's more logical, I'm emotional. He's a saver, I'm a spender. And the list goes on. And I actually find that having these differences makes us more balanced. I don't know if you've heard the quote, you become the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Well, guess who you spend the most time with? Your partner. So you are going to eventually adapt some of their mannerisms, some of their beliefs, and of course some of their annoying habits. So I really made sure that I focused on that. Am I okay if I become a little bit more like my partner? What are the greatest things that I can learn from him? For my partner, it was his logical brain. I learned a lot about how to balance my own emotional brain with logic, and that's what I adapted from him. But yeah, I was saying personality differences and interests, they don't really matter in a successful relationship. I would say having shared vision, values, and goals matters more than personality differences. When you think about it, when your goal is, for example, to have kids and your partner has no intention to ever have kids, then that will cause conflict because you're not on the same page. It's important that you guys are moving in the same vehicle, in the same direction together. You can have different interests and you can have different personalities, but this shared vision is the glue. Let's take this analogy. If you're on a boat and you're sailing to destination A to destination B, it's actually very important that on that boat that each person has their own role and responsibility. responsibilities. I mean, you can't have two people manning the sail and two helmsmen. You need someone to steer the wheel and you need someone to man the sails. However, the mission will fail if they can't agree where they're going to go. So two people on that boat need to agree to go to destination B, and that's it. Point 6, focus on building, not attraction. The difference between a one-night stand and being married is the priorities that people have when they enter this type of relationship. Being married means you are looking for someone who has traits that would help you later in life, and having a one-night stand is basically just purely attraction. Love evolves over time. Initial stages, of course, is just based on attraction, so it's really on looks and personality. But over time, you create a deeper connection with a person based on emotional vulnerability, the time you spent together, and how you encourage one another. If you're looking for someone to commit long-term and vice versa, then you have to display characteristics that make them want you in their life long-term. Some characteristics that a lot of men really value for high-value women and women that they want to commit to is authenticity, loyalty, emotional stability, independence, and a good sense of humor. Honestly, if you're always leaving your interactions with a good laugh, with good vibes, and make him feel safe, then you're already on the right track. One huge thing that worked for me is always bettering myself. If you continue to wake up every day and try to better yourself, then it becomes a healthy competition, and men love challenges. It shows that you're an independent, self-motivated person to take care of yourself, and it screams high-value woman and confident. Your man will either support you in your journey of growth or suppress that. Either way, you're gonna have an answer to whether this person is a keeper or not. If you find a man that supports you, encourages you, and grows with you, then that is already a good sign. Because let's face it, 50, 60 years from now, we are all gonna wrinkle up, be old and gray. Physical attraction is important, but it's fleeting. You want someone that displays traits of husband material. Someone who is dependable, someone who is emotionally stable, someone who is patient, and someone who supports you. So ladies, I hope that it's clear now on how you can break away from a cycle of toxic dating and finally attract a partner that commits to you. We talked about getting real with your insecurities and how you're projecting them, how to set clear boundaries and exude calm, confident energy, and how to keep communication honest so you can build a stronger, deeper connection. Remember, it's not magic. It's about building yourself up and becoming the high-value woman that will attract your ideal partner. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. I'm always so excited to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!